Hello and welcome. The Uber's UU Open tournament is over. Big Fat Mantis is the winner, and he's here with me today. How are you doing?
I'm doing okay. Still reeling in well, not reeling, I guess, but still excited with my win. It's nice to
Yeah.
win a circuit tournament.
Is
First
this
one
your
I've won.
first big win like ever or
Well, for a circuit tournament, yeah, I guess it's an unofficial circuit tournament,
it
but
still
no,
counts?
those are hard to win. A lot of people want to play in those.
hmm So, of course, you were the top player of many, many, many. But first step, we want to learn a little more about you. So, what was your introduction to competitive Pokemon? How did you hear about Uber's UU specifically? And, what drew you in enough to care to compete in these circuits?
Whoa, that's a lot of questions, but
Yeah,
I
take your
want to go
time.
back.
This can be a conversation.
Oh, okay. Well, I was going back to what you said. You said that people had me as like a top player for the finals, or
I think that's because of your success in the kickoff more than,
oh, I see. That
yeah.
makes sense. Oh yeah, because I made semis there too. Well, I mean, I've been playing competitive Pokemon for a while, but not until like COVID on Smogon, because like nobody had anything to do, including me. So I just kind
Yeah.
of checked in. Started getting more into the UU scene specifically, which is really what I mostly am, is just a UU player. I don't really dabble too much into other stuff. Every now and then I do. But like for example, well, not really in any other like ear chords on Discord besides UU, and I just joined the Uber's UU chord like yesterday,
Welcome.
um, and other than that, I just hang out in like ruins of Alph stuff to do old gen stuff, but mostly for lower tiers like UU. Um,
Okay.
so before that, though, I mean, I was part of like a nice Reddit draft league for a few years that
Ooh.
I had a lot of fun with, had a lot of friends there. Um, it was like it started off as the whole Twitch plays Pokemon craze.
Oh, I remember
And
that.
then we just kind of like branched off into our own like league based on that. And we did that for a few years. It was a lot of fun. We had all kinds of different draft type tournaments, team tournaments, and it was a good time. And then like eventually during COVID, when I started getting more into Smogon and UU, it's just kind of where a lot of my focus started at that point. And that was around 2020 or so. And
So
since
you kind
then,
of started through Reddit and then through COVID you got into the kind of standard Smogon scene?
yeah, pretty much. That's a good summary of that. So, um, and then I've had success in UU as well. But I haven't won a circuit tournament. But I've been part of the circuit playoffs 2 years in a row now,
All
and I
right.
lost. Did I lose in the first round 2 years? Yeah, I lost in the first round 2 years in a row.
And then
But the person I lost to ended up winning the whole thing both times.
oh, that always feels a little good. It's like, yes, I
Yeah,
only lose to the best.
yeah.
So,
Whoever plays me next year better hope they get me in round one.
ooh, yeah. So, how was Uber's UU introduced to you? Through what way did you hear about it, and how'd that go for you?
Well, like many other people, I'm sure, I just kind of saw the money kickoff tournament and I said, "Oh yeah, cool, I'll join that." So
So when
that was
it first went live on Smogon.
right. Yeah, I had no idea what it was before that. Although the idea had always intrigued me. I always had like an idea that a sort of Uber's UU tier would be kind of cool if anyone would ever do it.
Oh yeah,
And
people
then I
have
saw
been
that.
talking about it for a long, long time.
Yeah, and I've been talking to people about it too, and they've tried it kind of in the past. It never really went
hmm
anywhere though.
Yeah,
But when I saw that, I was
shout
like,
out to both BL Ubers, Bloobers, and to Pseudos, which were similar attempts in Gens 7 and 8, I believe.
yeah, again, it never got anywhere, but I thought it was a good idea, it has a lot of potential, and I'm glad this one's working out. But anyways, I joined the kickoff tournament, just because I saw it and I saw it in the forums. It said money. I was like, all right, cool. I got nothing better to do with my time. Only work 50 hours a week and playing in like
Oh,
10 other tours, but no big deal. I'll just join this too. Um, and I didn't really take it that seriously at the beginning. I used the same Heinko is hot sample web team like 10 times in a row. and, and I kept winning with it.
yeah.
And then I got pretty deep in the tournament, and I thought, you know what? There's money on the line now. People are probably going to catch on to what I'm doing. So I
Yeah,
thought
can't
maybe I
just
should
run the
learn this
same
here.
thing over and over.
So I thought maybe I should just learn this here and try to build myself. And then I started to do that in the later rounds.
Awesome. Were you working with anyone in particular or prepping with anyone?
Not really. I would ask some of my friends who have never played the tier, like, hey,
Oh,
can you go into Showdown and click Uber's UU and just like slap 6 months together and send it to me?
that's
They're like, oh yeah,
funny.
sure. And so they did that, and I used what they gave me and kind of modified it. And I used a few of those teams, and they won a lot of times. So,
That's awesome.
um, yeah,
So,
one of my good friends, Mr. Soup, did that for the grand finals. He just slapped some mons together from the builder, threw on a hoopa, and I was like, all right, cool, I'm down with it. And then I
Hoopa,
just kind
yeah,
of
that was
fixed
a
it up.
wild pick.
Then I just kind of fixed it up, went with it, and hey, it won me the whole fucking tournament. So it worked out.
Yeah. So, I mean, kind of building off that, I've commentated many of your sets up on the Uber's UU YouTube channel, and I feel like I'm seeing you a lot with Wheezing Galar.
So I had this theory a little while back that Toxic Spikes was just broken.
Oh, yeah.
Uh, and I also thought that Zacian was kind of ridiculous. So I thought,
Both of
how
those
can
are
I?
great opinions to have.
So I thought, how can I get Toxic Spikes while also being good into Zacian? I was like, oh, let me just use Wheezing and defensive. That should
How do
do
you
the
think
trick.
it worked for you?
It worked out pretty well. So I didn't win every game it was in. I
Mm.
lost in the semis of the kickoff.
Yeah,
Although that was my own fault. I wasn't paying enough attention and didn't see the life orb damage on Reshiram.
mm.
So if I saw that, I would have recovered with Arceus and then I would have won.
Yeah, and then
But since
maybe
I
I
didn't
could have.
see,
This could be the second interview.
yeah, yeah, but I didn't see it. I wasn't paying enough attention, and so, and that Reshiram killed me, and then I was done for. But that's
Hmm.
okay. I made up for it in the next tournament. And
And of course, we did commentate that. I don't remember exactly that, but I'm certain, yeah, you made it to like semifinals of the kickoff or something. It's
yeah.
certainly up on the channel. I will make sure to link that in the description.
Oh yeah,
So,
send that to me because I saw the video for the grand finals. It was very well
oh,
done. I
absolutely.
enjoyed it.
Yeah, the problem
Uh,
is there's so many videos, there's so much content already.
yeah. Yeah, I didn't know you did it on previous sets of mine.
Oh,
So I'll have to go
absolutely.
check those out. Yeah.
Yeah, you can check all of them out. So, besides Wheezing Galar, do you think there are other kind of slept on mons? Have you looked at like the usage stats or the VR or anything and thought, huh, that's kind of weird. Why don't they think about this Pokemon?
Look, I'll be honest with you. I haven't taken one look at the VRs at all. I have no
Wow, and you
idea what
still
the
win?
list is.
That's a Chad move. That's absolutely Chad, dude.
I think VRs are fake. First of all, I don't even know who's on the VR council. I mean, it's not me, and I won the Uber's UU Open, so who's making these decisions? It's not
Clearly.
Bert. I don't think he's not on the UU on the Uber's UU council. So, I mean, not that there are gonna be bad takes. I just feel like, and this is for every tier. This isn't specific to Uber's UU.
Yeah.
I just think every tier, the VRs. I mean, they're just opinions of a group of people. It doesn't necessarily mean much. So I
Yeah.
usually don't follow them like really strongly. I just take what I think is going to be good and use it.
Yeah, that's an interesting take. Huh. So yeah, and I think
Uh,
kind of related to that, you've also voiced, I feel like on the forums, that there's a post to me that's famous of yours of like, oh, we should look at all the Arceus forms at the same time for a ban, and you were kind of surprised by the council's decision to suspect Arceus Fire. And
Well,
so,
they didn't suspect it. They just quick banned it.
or right, yeah, there was discussion, and then
I thought that was
whether,
crazy, but
yeah, so I mean, now
I
Arceus
mean,
Fire
it,
has been banned. How do you think the fallout has been?
so I thought a quick ban was kind of crazy in an Uber's tier to quick ban something that is not super suffocating.
Hmm.
Um, but at the same time, I recognize that it was probably going to be a waste of time to suspect it because almost certainly they would have probably voted it to be banned anyways. So I don't have that much of a problem with it, just for that reason alone. But like historically, I've been very anti-ban on most fronts, not just in this
Yeah,
tier, but other tiers as well. So I just kind of feel like we should play whatever is in front of us, unless it's like totally absurd, and it's just up to us to kind of figure it out. I think a lot of times people get lazy when they make tiering decisions. Like they get lazy. They don't want to know how to work around this super powerful mon. They don't want to go try to explore other, slept on options that might be able to deal with it. They just want to ban it because it's easy. It'll remove it, and then it's easier
that's
for them
true.
to build. Uh, and I'm not saying that's what happened in this case.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Obviously,
yeah.
there's a
You're
lot.
you're not
There's a lot of
trying to throw shade at, you know.
no. And look, I think if you had any kind of combination of people on the council, it probably would have been the same decision to probably either ban it or suspect it. But my point is just that, sometimes we just got to kind of chill out and just play the game.
Yep.
And if there's going to be something that is overbearing, like, all right, if it's really overbearing, take some action on it, remove it. But my
Hmm.
point for the Arceus post of mine that you were talking about, like, I don't think that all those Arceus forms are overbearing. I was just saying it'd be a lot more interesting to just remove the good ones than just leave the bad ones because, right now it's like mandatory that you have an Arceus on your team
Yeah,
somewhere.
I agree. And
And it's just, I don't think that really flies with the philosophy of the creation of this tier.
mhm,
It would be like if, for example, if somehow, the Rotom forms were all super overpowerful, had like way more base stats than they have right now. Uh, and then they were all Ubers, but most of them were Ubers UU. And then every fucking team had a Rotom of some sort on them. It's like, well, I mean,
mhm.
come on, this isn't, Uber's Rotom UU. It's Uber's UU. It's like it's not Arceus UU. It's Uber's UU. We don't want an Arceus mandatory on every single team. And I especially do not buy into the philosophy that, oh, we need this Arceus form. It's gonna be a blanket check on stuff to the tier. Well, that's the point. Get rid of it. You don't want something to blanket check everything because then you have to use it all the time.
Yeah,
Uh,
that's
so
true.
when people use that as an argument, it's like, oh my God, I don't know what's going to happen if we take away Arceus Dark. Everything's going to fall apart. And my answer to that is I don't think I used Arceus Dark one time at all in my entire run for both tournaments, and I seem to
That's
do just
wild,
fine. So
actually.
it's it's very possible to work without it, and you can work without other forms as well. But it's very difficult to not have an Arceus on your team because it's just so good right now that it's like, well, you're almost throwing if you don't have some sort of Arceus on there. And that's why I think you should get rid of Poison, should get rid of Electric, you should get rid of Dark, and maybe there was one other one that you should get rid of. I
Grass, maybe?
forget. You can leave that
Or
one in.
maybe
Something, but
fire back. I think you mentioned fire back when it was
yeah, I think it was Fire
still
back then.
unbanned.
Those were the four ones, and I was like, if you really want to use an Arceus, whip out the Arceus bug, see how you do. So,
Hmm.
um,
Yeah, I
and
just want to add here that, like, Uber's UU is a very particular tier where, like, basically no other tier has this situation where there's 15 versions of the same mon that are just ever so slightly different. So you can technically ban them one at a time, but like they all can basically do the same thing. Like Uber's never really has that problem because you only want to be running like normal fairy and ground Arceus. Sil Valley doesn't have that type of problem because it's so stretched into different tiers. Yeah, it's really a unique problem to our metagame, but
No,
yeah.
I agree, and it's if you look at regular Ubers back, in Gen 7, every team had Primal Groudon. If you weren't using Primal
Mm,
Groudon, like you were throwing basically. And that's I'm not a big fan of that. I'm not a big fan of you have to use something on every team. And right now, even though there's different forms, it's like you gotta use Arceus. And I'm not saying get rid of Arceus completely. Like there's clearly some
yeah,
really bad
no one's saying
Arceus
Arceus
forms.
Bug is overpowered.
And like, I would personally think if I saw an Arceus bug on a team, I'd say, you know what, that's really cool. That thing sucks. I hope you can do something with it.
Mhm.
um, but luckily it doesn't get leech life, by the way. I looked into that. I was considering it, but it
Oh
doesn't learn
yeah,
it.
that would be gross.
Yeah.
Taunt plus
Um,
Leech Life or like Whirlpool. It does get Whirlpool.
yeah, it does get whirlpool.
Yeah.
So
All right. So Uber's UU is still working on, kind of deeper integration to the Smogon community. We really started on like Reddit and YouTube, and some people kind of look at the tier and they're like, well, people like BigFatMantis can just kind of better player everyone to the top of a tour. Um, do you think that's true? Do you think, the competition was really light, or there is some tough competitors out there? And
all right.
also, just kind of like
Oh.
more broadly, like, is there anything you'd like to see to kind of integrate Uber's UU deeper into the, more competitive, quote unquote, serious Smogon community?
Yeah, so look, I came from a Reddit community too that played competitive Pokemon before I started doing Smogon. And, in that community, like if you take a look at like all of the wins per player, uh like whoever had the most wins and blah blah blah, like I had probably 3 times as many wins as the next number 2 guy in that
Whew.
community. So I thought I was pretty fucking good. I was like, oh man, I must be great. And then I started playing in Smogon, and I got destroyed. It was totally different.
Yeah.
It's just not the same thing. These people have been playing in high pressure games for, you know, 3 games per week for all the tournaments they play in. And yeah, there is a philosophy of, Mons is Mons, and a better player usually can play it well. Um, but it's more of a combination than anything. Like if you have 2 players with the same skills, uh, the one that has more knowledge is usually going to win because that does,
Yeah.
make a difference for something. What I think throws a lot of people off, they say, "Oh my God, it's just the better players winning, and we've been doing this, for a while." I think sometimes people get so invested in their own personal philosophies of what's good in a tier that they don't really consider branching out or considering maybe they have
Mm.
some takes that aren't the greatest, and maybe someone else is actually going to figure out what's better, and then maybe they got to shift how they think about what's good and what isn't. And some people, I guess, are just stubborn and they don't they don't want to do that. They think they have the best takes in the world on what's good and what isn't, and people are gonna always find other ways to innovate and see what's actually good that you may have not thought was good before. And that happens in every single tier over time. If you look at, ORAST OU today, and then look at the teams 3 years ago, it's pretty different. But nothing's really changed in the tier, and
Yeah.
nothing really is banned that was
Isn't that the
significant.
tier that saw
If
Kofagrigus like really rise up?
Yeah, like it's just people figure out what is now good that people didn't realize back then. So, but yeah, I think that I forgot what your question was actually, but
The kind of other half of it was Are there any ways you think you'd like to see Uber's UU like better integrated into the Smogon community?
Well, I mean, it's
And you
trying.
don't
I
need
can
an
see
answer to
that.
every question, you know.
I I mean, I'm trying to help them integrate too. I'm trying to help the tier integrate better as well. I got some
Absolutely,
big
thank you.
plans. I got some big plans later this week
Ooh,
for the tier, which I'm not gonna say right now, but I mean,
okay.
people will figure
I
it out.
don't need to know.
People people will figure it out at the end of the week. But I think it's important to not just focus on what you got going in the Discord and what
Mm,
you got going in your own small sub forum there in the unofficial metagames. You gotta, you know, run some more tours. Like right now, I don't even know when the next Uber's UU tour is. Do you know when it is? I don't know
Yeah,
when it
so
is.
at the moment we don't have any official Smogon tours going on, but there is a draft league that is currently going on in the Discord. We're just starting week 3 right now. Actually, right after this video goes up, probably the next one that goes up will be some gameplay from the first week. I'm sorry, this is
I
the
see.
perfect time. I need a plug. If you guys want to see that, make sure to subscribe to the channel, give us a like, and congratulate BigFatMantis in the comments. Anyway, sorry, I needed to be a YouTuber for a second.
Hey, you gotta do what you gotta do.
But
But
yeah,
I
so at
think
the
you
moment
gotta.
there's not anything, any official Smogon tours going on.
So I think the best way to kill and destroy a tier on Smogon is to not have anything going on. So,
Mm,
on Smogon. So you gotta get something going on. I mean, you can't. I mean,
yep.
nobody's gonna ladder right now. What are they gonna ladder for? There's no tours going on, and the ladder's already kind of dead. Like you gotta pick it back up. Do some fun unofficial. I know you gotta talk to probably Isaiah before you can do anything officially, but you
Yeah,
can always
we
have
we
some
do have like
idea to do some
miscellaneous
things.
ladder events going on every week, but yeah, unfortunately at the moment
That's
a lot of
good.
that's going on in the Discord as opposed to in the room or on the sub forum. But yeah,
So
if you guys
do it
want,
on the yeah.
yeah, if you guys want to get more of that, check out the Discord link in the description.
There's no such thing as a pocket of people on Smogon that aren't really into or not really affiliated with any other community at the moment that are just
Hmm.
gonna be like, oh, Uber's do you? Yeah, let me go do that one. That's gonna be my thing. Like it's not gonna happen. You gotta pull from the other areas and get people involved that are interested in it. Like me, I'm just a UU guy. I had nothing to do with Uber's UU. I just kind of saw it. I play UU. Like, oh, Uber's UU, same thing, right? And then I just got into it. That's all. Um, but you got to have stuff that seems fun. The money tour
Absolutely.
obviously is going to draw in people because it's a money tour. Everybody's drawn in by money, but you don't have to use money all the time. There's other ways to do it.
Yeah,
Uh,
you're probably right.
like do a trio tour. Uber's you trio tour. That sounds
Oh
fun,
yeah,
right?
we've been thinking about some sort of team tour as maybe the next thing, but they really haven't gotten off the ground. But maybe this is the incentive I need to push that into actually happening. Just a couple of questions now. What about your future? If people want to keep following your gameplay, where should they look? Are you going to keep competing in the unofficial metagame circuit? What other tours are you in? Is there any other, stuff on your Pokemon radar that you want to try out?
Well, I'm currently in UUPL. Like, if you want to see me play games, well, I'm not actually starting, so that's probably not a good idea. But, uh, but I'm usually doing UU stuff, and I'm
Hmm.
usually going to be playing games in UU tournaments. At the moment, I actually keep track of my tournaments on my own personal side Discord that I used to run tournaments on a lot.
Gotcha.
Uh, and so I'm in the ROA Spotlight Tour for Advanced UU, and then I'm also in the
Ooh.
Advanced RU plus Jump Left tournament. Great tournament, by the way. I wish signups were still open so I could plug it for everybody. Um, and then I'm also in the Random Battles Extension League playing Gen 1 Random Battles. So, uh, kind of some random stuff. None of those are really that connected besides, I guess, 2 advanced tiers.
I don't know.
But
We
I'm in
love the
UU.
variety, though.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm in UUPL, and I'll probably play games at some point in there. Right now, I'm just kind of supporting on the bench and
Mm.
stuff. But I will be hosting UUFPL
Ooh.
starting probably next week. Manager signups go up or end of this week, and that's always fun. And so I guess I guess I'll just give it away right now that the big surprise was I'm going to put Uber's UU in UUFPL as one of the
Yo, let's
tier.
go. I actually forgot
uh,
about that, but then as you kept talking, I'm like, oh wait, that's the thing. Yeah, so
yeah,
that's huge news. Collaboration
yeah,
between Uber's UU and UU proper.
yeah. I got permission from UU leadership to do it. So it was
So
really my
how is
decision,
that
though.
going to work? Could you give like a brief description for those who may not be familiar?
Well, it's the UU Farm Premier League. So there's the UU Premier League, which is going on right now, which is the big, big, big UU tour of the year. Very prestigious.
Yeah.
It's probably the most prestigious non-OU tournament on Smogon is UUPL. But it's really hard to get in there. A lot of people try to play UUPL. Not everybody can get in. So a few years ago, I started up UUFPL to give some other players a chance to play. And so it's a little twist on farm leagues because I don't ban anyone from playing that's in UUPL.
Mm.
I just ban them from playing the current generation UU, as well as anything they're playing in UUPL. So you get a good mix of veteran players and newbies that are just coming up, and it's just a fun tournament that much lower pressure than UUPL. And usually I write like silly stories to go along with it that don't make any sense, just to have fun with it. But yeah, manager signups for that go up probably at the end of this week or start of next week. And yeah, Uber's UU is going to have one of the tier slots there. It'll be 8 teams, so there'll be 8 Uber's UU starters in the tour. I don't know if any of the UU managers are going to have any idea who to draft for Uber's UU, but
Well, that will
um,
bring them our way, and we'll give them all the information they need.
yeah, there you go. I mean, I'm not playing because I'm hosting, so.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, I thought it'd be really funny. Actually, I was gonna say fun, but truthfully, I just thought it'd be funny
I
to
mean,
put
it'll be
Uber's
both,
UU in
probably.
there. Yeah, and so I'm like, all right, yeah, let's do it. Why not?
All right, well,
Uh,
I need to personally thank you for that. I was going to say thank you for even just competing in Uber's UU and really, raising the bar of, the best play we've ever seen. But yeah, for also being invested in the community and, putting effort back into it to grow the scene. Um, I think that basically brings us to the end of the interview, but, are there any questions I haven't asked, and are there any shout outs that you'd like to give?
you don't want to ask me about that turn 17 in game two?
Oh, which one was that? The Zacian into the Slow King?
Yeah, that one.
Oh, right. Yes, I forgot about that. Ooh. I mean, yeah, you switch a Slow King into a Zacian, and I should put that on screen right now, but yeah, that seemed like it. You really played baddie there. What was going through your head?
So I was thinking, I think I may have lost this game right now. So,
Yeah, I was
uh,
worried.
so it was like the only way I could possibly win is to pop a defensive Terra to resist a hit
Hmm.
and then hit him back to KO the Zacian.
That's what it looked
Uh,
like.
but I thought, this guy is smart. He knows that's what I'm gonna fucking do. Uh, so I thought about which of my mons was the most useless out of all of them. And at that time, it was just like Zacian and then Goldengo and what was his other one he had left? Mewtwo, I think. It was probably Mewtwo. Or
Yeah,
was
I
it?
don't know.
I don't
It'll be on
remember.
screen though. They
Yeah,
can see.
but yeah. So I thought, well, Slowking's not going to do anything against any of these guys. So let me just bring that in. And if he uses Terra Blast Ground, then he knows I'm not trying to bait. He's just trying to win the game now pretty easily. But I was thinking if he thinks I'm going to pop a Terra, he's going to try to use something else and try to, play 4-dimensional chess right now.
Yeah, and of course you'd
And
pop
I,
a Terra there. Slow King's weak to ground.
well, yeah, why would I ever put a Slowking in there without thinking I'm going to pop a Terra? I know he's got the ground. I know he's going to KO me unless I Terra. But I had a backup plan where if this doesn't work out, I do have the RCS fighting, which was Terra
Yep.
Steel.
Ooh.
And at that point, if he didn't go for this, then he just used Terra Blast Ground, then I was like, all right, he's committed to just, clicking what's in front of him. So then I'll
Yeah,
just pop
actually,
the Terra on
what
RCS
was the
afterwards.
Arceus fighting set? Because I don't think you ever revealed it. But Terra Steel, that's interesting.
It was the set that's useless into Goldengo, so that's why I never really used it.
Oh, wait a minute. It didn't have any stab besides fighting?
It had Cosmic Power, Recover,
What?
Body Press, and Sword
Oh,
Power.
it's body press. Okay.
So useless into
Wow, that's
Goldengo.
wild.
So at any point I brought that out, Goldengo was coming in with a free setup. But, my backup plan, if he KO'd the Slowking, it's like, all right, then let me just pop the Terra on the RCS to just KO this Dacian and hope for the best for everything else. Yeah, that was my thoughts on that turn. I know a lot of people were asking me questions about, like, what were you thinking? How did you do that?
Yes, how did you do those? How did you 5D chess the 4D chess player?
Yeah. But so for shout outs, I mean, I want to thank my good friend Mr. Soup. He helped build me that last team that won, and he built another team before that I used in the kickoff as well. And then my good friend Team Charm, who is now known as Swinub Fan 44. He also built me a team that I used a couple times in kickoff in the open when he's never played the tier before. He just kind of did it for fun. And I used that and won a few games. So, I mean, that was fun. And other than that, I talked to Fusion Flare a lot about the tier. And,
Fusion Flare knocked me out of open, I believe.
They did good. They made it to. I knocked them out, which I felt bad about, but of the money tour.
I'm almost
but he
certain
always
we have that on video.
Right, but Fusion Flare, they always ask me about like ideas. They're always tossing out ideas on some teams, and it's pretty cool. And they're always enthusiastic to watch the games. They were the first ones to congratulate me right after I won, and that was very nice. So.
Nice. Yeah. Shout out.
And then
to
I gotta thank my guy Axel too. He's always there to support me, as well as Crushy. So don't never want to let those guys off my shout outs for anything.
All right. Well, thank you one more time. That's the end of the interview. If you guys want to see more, I'll make sure to link BigFatMantis in the description, as well as a couple of videos of his gameplay and the grand finals set, of course, which is in the live stream section. I haven't uploaded it as a regular video. But thank you, Mantis, one more time. And we will see you guys next time for some of that Draft League content.